Good afternoon, folks. Thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. Hope you're having a good Tuesday so far. So I want to talk about a story that I read a little bit about yesterday. If you watch nightly news, NBC Nightly News, you may have caught the segment on it. It is a mosquito, a very rare mosquito virus that is going around in parts of the Northeast. It's called Eastern equine encephalitis, also known as triple E. And it caught my attention because it's kind of concerning, the impacts of this virus. I'd never heard of it. So I wanted to dig in a little bit more and talk to our local experts about triple E. So today we are teaming up with Dr. Christina Bryant, the Associate Medical Director of Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness. And she's also a pediatric infectious disease specialist at Norton Children's. And also Matt Vanderpool, the Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness environmental health specialist. We talk about mosquitoes, West Nile a lot, Matt, but this triple E, Eastern equine encephalitis, is new to me. What can you tell us about it?
So Eastern equine encephalitis, it's been around for a really long time. It's not like it's something that just magically just sort of popped up. And we see it in a lot of the states that border Kentucky, but thankfully we've never seen it in Jefferson County. So that's good. But Eastern equine encephalitis is actually cycled through birds in a pretty similar way that West Nile virus is. So infected birds would give it to mosquitoes, and then one particular species of mosquito that prefers to bite birds would cycle it through mosquitoes and other birds and mosquitoes and other birds. And then if you have the potential of getting the disease, you have what are called bridge vectors. So they're locally, we have three species of mosquitoes that can act as bridge vectors from birds to people. It's important to understand that some mosquitoes, just like different people, they have different food sources that they prefer. So one mosquito prefers to eat bite birds, so they're constantly biting birds, but others will bite birds or bite people, or just kind of the smorgasbord or whatever they can find. So the good news is that of the mosquitoes that we have locally that could carry and be bridge vectors for Eastern equine encephalitis, they're actually not in great abundance. So yeah, it's a possibility. However, we don't see a lot of them, and we actually test for Eastern equine encephalitis in our surveillance program for mosquito-borne illness or mosquito-borne disease. And no matter what mosquito virus that people might potentially be concerned about, I mean, the real take-home message is always going to be make sure that you're removing standing water from your property, you're wearing insect repellent when you're outside, and you're just taking those regular steps day after day after day when you know that you're going to be outside, because it doesn't really matter where you are in the community, you're going to have mosquitoes somewhere close to you.
Absolutely. And the concern with triple E is that it is rare, but it can be very serious. The virus can cause severe swelling of the brain. Symptoms include fever, headache, vomiting, and behavioral changes. And the concern is just recently that triple E, a man in Massachusetts, 80-year-old man in Worcester County, died from this virus not long after they detected the virus in that area. Am I understanding some of this correctly, Matt?
I mean, that's my understanding from the news story. And one of the mosquitoes that can carry Eastern equine encephalitis actually prefers to breed in salt marshes. So anytime that you're going to be on the eastern seaboard, you're going to have a potentially greater impact there, because you do have salt marshes. Thankfully, we don't have salt marshes in this area. So that's one of the reasons why those mosquito numbers are a lot lower.
So from what I understand, Matt, am I understanding you correctly that we haven't had any cases here in our area in Kentucky, but we do have the three types of mosquitoes that could potentially carry this virus. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So Dr. Bryant, I want to bring you in because you also monitor things like this. What is the concern that you want to let people know about? It is Labor Day weekend as we're coming into the holiday weekend. A lot of folks may be traveling. If they're traveling in that part of the country, do they need to be worried?
Well, I will say that Eastern equine encephalitis virus is rare. Matt mentioned that we've never had a case here in Jefferson County. It's also rare in Massachusetts, where the gentleman that developed triple E lives. So it's rare there too, but it is a potentially serious infection. So people are infected by the bite of a mosquito, like some other mosquito-borne illnesses that we've talked about. Some people have no symptoms. Some people have fever and muscle aches, and they get better after a few days. But some people develop serious neurologic illness. The virus affects the brain, causes an inflammation of the brain called encephalitis or a meningitis. And when encephalitis develops, the mortality rate is really high, 30%. And so, yes, if people are traveling to a place where there have been cases of Eastern equine encephalitis, they definitely want to take steps to protect themselves against mosquito bites, and that includes wearing an insect repellent. Matt talked through some of the prevention steps, but even though we've not had triple E here, we do have mosquitoes that carry viruses that can cause illness. We have West Nile virus, potentially. And so no matter where people are, it's important to take steps to protect yourself against mosquito bites. I will say, if people are traveling for the holiday weekend, they come home and they develop a fever, then when they go to the doctor, it's always important to share with their doctor or healthcare professional that they've been traveling, because different viruses are more common in different parts of the country.
According to the CDC, thank you, Dr. Bryant, for that, an estimated 30% of those infected, they will unfortunately die, and survivors are often permanently disabled, suffering from long-term neurological problems. In this link, I've added if you want to learn more about Triple E, you can go to the CDC's website to learn more information. So it sounds like we're very fortunate we don't have this rare, deadly virus here in our area, but just that we all need to be cautious. Matt, you mentioned, taking precautions again. Can you run through some of those for our viewers right now?
Sure. I think most mosquitoes are active in the evenings. And yeah, with the temperatures like what we're seeing right now, it's really hot. People don't want to be out during the day. And if they're going to be outside, they're probably going to be out during the evenings. If you're going to be out during the evenings, you're going to potentially be around where mosquitoes are going to be, and that's pretty much everywhere outside. You need to wear insect repellent. There's several different types of insect repellent that you can wear that are effective. And our website and the CDC's website has lots of information about that, without going into all the detail, but there's lots of great stuff that you can use. If you want to be outside, you can actually direct a fan to blow on high across you, because mosquitoes fly really, really slowly and poorly, only about 2 miles an hour. So, a strong breeze can kind of blow them away from you. Not that, you really want to be wearing the long sleeves and long pants in this kind of weather, but long sleeves and long pants will protect you somewhat from mosquito bites from, most mosquitoes. And it's also important that mosquitoes find you by your smell. So any kind of like colognes or perfumes that you might wear that are going to make you smell more like a flower are probably going to make you easier to find for mosquitoes. So if you're going to be outside in the evenings, then make sure not to wear like perfumes, scented deodorants, really flowery smelling detergents and things like that can potentially draw mosquitoes to you.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, I know in the metro, there are citywide efforts for mosquito fogging and that sort of thing. A lot of times people hire private companies to spray their yards. Will that help deter some of this from spreading in our area?
Well, the Metro Vector Control Team actually does mosquito fogging operations based on the presence of disease within Metro. So we have a lot of surveillance traps that we put out throughout Louisville. And when we bring those mosquitoes back in, we treat those mosquitoes, or we test those mosquitoes in-house for different vector-borne diseases that we have the potential of having in Jefferson County. When those come back positive, then we schedule fogging routes to knock down the adult population. So we're larval mosquitoes, generally, they're not going to have any of this disease. It gets picked up from birds. So we're only looking at the adults when we're out spraying at night. So we want to spray in the areas where we've got positive adult mosquitoes to knock down their numbers to reduce the potential disease transmission to people. And we do that all throughout the summer, just, to keep pavilions healthy.
Dr. Bryant, as far as the medical aspect of this goes, what do you think that folks need to know that can kind of just keep them safe? And it sounds like we shouldn't panic about this, right? This is West Nile may be more of a concern for us than Triple E is.
Don't panic. We've never had a case of Triple E in Jefferson County. So that's reassuring. But we do have illnesses that are spread by mosquito bites. And so people should take precautions against mosquito bites. And part of that includes using insect repellents, and part of that includes taking the other good steps that Matt mentioned. We just think about Triple E for a second. There is no treatment for it. There is no vaccine. Prevention is really key. And so whether you're staying in Louisville for the holiday weekend or you're traveling to the Northeast where a case of Triple E has been identified, take steps to protect yourself against mosquito bites.
Okay, perfect. Matt, Dr. Bryant, is there anything that I did not ask you both that you want our viewers to know about in regards to Triple E or the West Nile virus or mosquitoes in general, because they are out in full force right now?
Wearing mosquito repellents is important for both children and adults. If parents have questions about which mosquito repellents are most appropriate for young children, they should check with their pediatrician.
All right.
And it's also important to realize that mosquitoes breed in standing water. They're not going to be breeding in flowing water. If you have a stream behind your house that's flowing and has fish, that's not going to be a problem. Generally speaking, ponds aren't really a problem for mosquitoes either, because they have, ecosystems that help control mosquitoes in that water. But stagnant swimming pools, tires, clogged up gutters, fountains that aren't running anymore, flower pot saucers, even small accumulations of water can breed mosquitoes. So while you're walking around your yard, just, normal daily business, you want to do your due diligence and see if there are any of these small areas of standing water, even like the downspout extensions on your soffits. There's just enough water that sits in those to breed several hundred mosquitoes, especially if they run through your planting beds and they're holding water. So just be diligent. Look for standing water around your yard. Look for standing water around your neighbor's yards. Say, hey, the mosquitoes are kind of bad. Did you notice that your kids have these toys in the backyard? They're holding water. So yeah, it's protecting yourself with insect repellent, but it's also reducing the breeding sites that mosquitoes have around your house and your neighbor's houses.
Are mosquitoes drawn to certain blood types? Do we know? Or you mentioned the fragrances.
So there's some conflicting research one way or the other. It's not so much blood type. Mosquitoes find us in a variety of ways. The primary indicator that mosquitoes use is carbon dioxide. So just as we normally exhale, we're exhaling carbon dioxide, and that's the key trigger. But they also can cue in on metabolic smells that your body gives off, just burning energy. Some medications have been shown to potentially make you smell different, and mosquitoes will start biting you. Even some types of foods will make you smell a little bit better to mosquitoes, but mosquitoes don't have to use smell and carbon dioxide to find you. There have been studies done to where black cardboard cutouts of the favorite food source of mosquitoes have been put up, and mosquitoes will still zero in on a piece of black cardboard. So they can see you and they can bite you, they can smell you and they can bite you. And that's why it's important to try and deal with mosquitoes from, as many different angles as you can.
All right. Thank you so much for this helpful information, Dr. Brian and Matt Vanderpool from Metro Public Health and Wellness. Truly appreciate your time. I hope everybody stays healthy and happy out there. As someone who gets bit quite often, this information was very helpful for me today. So appreciate your time, guys, today. I'm Myra Ansari. Hope you have a wonderful day.